Hello everyone and welcome to another Metalhead review. The subject of today's review will be Subnautica, an indie survival game that recently officially released on Steam. In this game, the player is thrust into the shoes of a survivor of the Alteran ship Aurora that has crash-landed on the planet 4546b. It is up to the player to survive in a world of dangers with limited supplies and equipment and make it off the planet. Just from that description, it sounds pretty good to me. But how does the game fare in reality? Well, let's find out. So without any further ado, let's dive in! The quality of this game is pretty great. No crashes that I've seen so far and very few bugs and glitches across the time that I've played it. It runs exceptionally well, averaging 90 FPS in most all situations on my PC at least. Optimization is superb and the game is a pleasure to play as a result. The general polish of the game also makes the whole experience that much more enjoyable. It's clear that the developers took their time with this one and it really does show. There are a few small gripes that I do have with this aspect, mainly to do with texture popping. When travelling to new areas, terrain will appear very roughly rendered and will eventually pop in. This can somewhat taint some elements of the design aspect. This is however not too serious of a complaint. Additionally, it would appear that OBS doesn't want to work with this game either, but it's hard to tell whose fault that is. Overall, these really don't detract from the game that much. The game's quality is exceptional, and as such, I rate it a 9 out of 10. The gameplay of Subnautica is certainly not the most original in concept, with elements inspired by countless other survival games. However, the way that it handles these mechanics and innovates upon pre-existing ideas is truly amazing. The game's core mechanics are crafting, gathering, exploration, and salvage. Crafting is handled well, if a little typically for the genre. All crafting is done through a device called the Fabricator, which aside from looking cool is really no different from any other crafting bench in another survival game. Definitely not the game's strongest point, but it works well enough. Gathering is, however, a particularly strong part of the game's mechanics, with many resources to find and a lot of different methods of finding them. There is a significant amount of learning that must be done to progress in the game. Some of the resources that must be gathered include ores, such as titanium, copper, silver, and gold, quartz, which is used to craft glass, creepvine kelp, which is used for silicone rubber and lubricant, and salt, which is used to play siege. I've included a more comprehensive list on screen for you to have a look at if you'd like. Gathering carries into the game's other major mechanic, exploration. In Subnautica, the ocean floor is comprised of several highly varying biomes and ecological regions. With a large map to explore and several of these biomes to discover, replayability of the game is fantastic. In addition to the different biomes, pieces of wreckage from the Aurora are scattered across the seabed and may be salvaged for progression in tech, as well as key resources and equipment. These pieces can provide some puzzles with doors that must be opened or cracks to locate in order to access the valuable equipment stored within the piece of wreckage. Throughout the game, the player progresses by scanning different pieces of broken or complete technology in order to unlock blueprints of that technology. This tech can range from simple handheld tools to habitat parts and vehicles. There are 3 vehicles in the game currently: the light Seamoth, the tough prawn exosuit, and the behemoth Cyclops submarine. This thing is really cool. With so many creatures in this ocean, obviously there will eventually be an encounter. An encounter with one of the planet's many Leviathan-class creatures can be absolutely terrifying, as I discovered in my first playthrough of the game. If the game was simply another survival game centered around resource management and building a base, as so many others are, I would be fine with that. But Subnautica is no ordinary survival game and goes the extra mile of providing side missions, lore, and an endgame. Side missions are received through the radio module that involve locating other fallen escape pods and determining their occupants' fate. Through this, we learn of the ship and her crew, as well as some other lore about the universe. The game also sets out an end goal of escaping the planet by one means or another. I will leave it to you to discover what this is for yourself. There is a lot of game here, and to discuss each and every element of the gameplay would take far longer than this video really affords. Overall though, I will say this. Though some mechanics are not entirely original, the brilliantly unique setting and interesting execution of these mechanics really makes all the difference. I do see the gameplay wearing thin eventually, but I would have to play for far longer to find that point. I rate this aspect a 9 out of 10. It is truly fantastic gameplay. For me, this game's design is definitely its strongest aspect. Everything about the visuals and sound of this game help to build the world around the player and gives them something to care about. Let me explain what I mean, piece by piece of course, because there is a lot to discuss. First of all, the game's graphics. They're very effective for what they need to do. Some textures can be a little muddy, in particular on salvage parts and some terrain pieces, but some others, in particular the life pod and building pieces, are very high definition. While a little inconsistent, this is absolutely forgivable for everything else the design of this game does well. An especially strong part of the game's design is its world building. The terrain design is nothing short of incredible. The variability between the different areas of seafloor make it well worth exploring. The attention to detail given to these as well is particularly impressive. Things such as changes in water tint, particle effects, base terrain textures and plant matter make the design of these biomes truly breathtaking. As I swim through the map, it never ceases to impress me at how varied these biomes can be. Some of these biomes include shallows, comprised of bright sunlit coral reefs, abundant prey fish and fewer threats, kelp forests that become murky and contain some threats but greater resource deposits, red grass plains with huge fields of red seagrass and so many others. Creature design is also spectacular, with each creature in the game having a significant amount of thought behind their appearance, morphological features, and their potential uses. One of my very favourite creature designs is that of the reefback, a massive hulking beast of a creature that appears to possess the features of a whale, turtle, and giant squid all mixed into one. These particular creatures just roam the waters, growing reefs on their backs, and looking damn beautiful while doing it, if a little bit ugly. The game's database gives more information on the oceanic fauna species as well as many of the flora and coral that occupy the ocean's floor. I love the creature designs in this game. Sound in this game is also utter perfection. All sounds are beautifully recorded and perfectly filtered to match the medium through which they are communicated, obviously, either air or water. Creature sounds especially all sound so right and provide a brilliant ambience for exploration of the ocean floor. Music is also beautiful and consists of techno-electronica tracks, as well as some other softer string pieces that are absolutely a pleasure to listen to. I hope there's a soundtrack out there somewhere because I absolutely need this one in my life. Voice acting is also superb, with some great voice talent on display. This is the kind of voice acting that would be expected of a AAA title. All recorded exceptionally and spoken very well.
This is Sunbeam. You know Aurora. We're from a little transgov on the far side of Andromeda, and we have a saying there. There's no bad without the good, no good without the bad.
Overall, my absolute favourite thing about this game is its design. It is all geared towards creating a rich world and a beautiful environment to survive in. This is by far the most fleshed out, well thought of and beautiful worlds I have ever had the privilege of surviving in. And for that reason, I give this aspect a perfect 10 out of 10. I could not imagine any way in which this game could do it better, and so it receives my first ever 10 subscore. There are so many things that I think I've missed, but honestly, if I went on any longer about all the things I like about this game, I'd be here for way too long. I rate this game a brilliant 9 out of 10. There is almost nothing I can say to bring it down, but I don't think the game is perfect in the gameplay department. But for that design, I absolutely recommend this one. If you're looking for a beautiful, exciting, and engrossing survival game, look no further than Subnautica. And for the price of $24.99, why are you still here? Go buy it now. This has been Metalhead Reviews talking about Subnautica. Thanks for watching.